Once again, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and the Honorable Minister of Finance, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You're very welcome, madam.
Thank you. Well, I could just stay here and just listen to that clap. Thank you. Let me tell you, this is the best morning I've had in quite a long time. You've just cheered me up. It's fantastic to be here and to feel your energy and to feel the hope. I want to start by saying congratulations to the Abuja Hub. Abuja Hub people, stand up. Let me see you. I'm so glad another fan of yours is here. You have seen Amina Mohammed, the Assistant Secretary General. She was just raving about you. So you have a lot of fans. And then I want to welcome all the shapers who have come from all over the world to be here today. And other shapers from Nigeria. I just want to say that this is one of the things that makes the forum work. I know Yemi is here somewhere. Where is he? Yeah, at the back. And Wale, you're still here. You're a shaper too. So you've got lots of fans here. But this is one of the best parts of the World Economic Forum, if I must say so. And I thoroughly enjoy being with you. Let me just tell you, the reason I feel sad, of course, you all know, is because of the girls. And if you listen to what is being said on the news media and so on, it makes you feel even sadder when you hear the comments being made about Nigeria and about the government and the lack of action. And one may criticize the government for not getting out in front, not for not doing anything, but not sharing the information that we're actually doing something. Because if people don't know, then they cannot support you, isn't it? So we needed to get information about accusations of not caring. They are just plain wrong. And that is what makes me reflect. The challenge is to think of what more we can do, because you're enthusiastic, you're bright, you're very close in age to some of the young women who have disappeared. Help us think of what more we can do, what strategies we can deploy to help us make progress on trying to locate the girls. So that's the first one. And it doesn't have to be anything technological, any way to reach out, any way to do better. And I'm very, very happy to hear that you have already started a website, am I right? Where you're trying to humanize these girls. I think that is fabulous, so that people can tap in and know who they are. Because we all don't know who they are, and what they've done, what they have achieved. Anything you can get on them that makes them human to others, I think that would be wonderful. And also as a site where people can tap into for information as you get it. But any other ideas are welcome. Now, I started by talking about the girls, but we must also, whilst taking care of the short-term security issues, we must also not forget while we're here for the World Economic Forum, which is to discuss a couple of, the theme of forging inclusive growth and creating jobs. And I see the two as very much linked. So anyone who tries to tell you that what you're here doing is separate from what is happening is not getting it. What you're here doing is vital. And the fact that you young shapers are here with us to discuss this is so critical, because it's about your generation. And you may already have jobs, you may already be a social activist, you may be doing something, but there are thousands of young Africans, thousands of young people all over the globe. Just as I left, they were talking about the unemployment rate in France. It's a global phenomenon. Inequality, growth with inequality in our own case in Africa, and the leaving behind of people at the bottom end of the scale. Those are the two things that this forum is about. And whilst you deal with the short term, you must also think, okay, if we release the girls today, what world are they coming into? Are they going to find jobs? Will they have a safety net if they can't find jobs? Will they have the requisite skills even after going to school? Are we providing for that? That is such a vital piece of conversation. And whatever you can, dialogue you can have amongst yourselves that can bring answers to those problems. And I want you on your website to make the link between the two. Don't let people think that WEF is one thing. I said we're very concerned about our girls more than WEF. But I also said there's a very strong link and there's a reason why this forum should continue. I listened to a social activist, I think Ramesh is his first name. I don't know if anyone else saw it on African Voices, who said Africa is rising, but rising for whom? That it's not rising for our youth. It's not rising for certain parts of the population. That's what this forum is about. And we must begin to look for answers. We have answers. We should learn from what other countries have done successfully to tackle these problems. We should look at what we need to do to create more jobs. Here in Nigeria, we have long since been struggling with the phenomenon of the quality of growth. And we've been very upfront about it because we have one of the fastest growth rates. But the quality is such that it's not creating enough jobs for our young people. And we don't have a social safety net to catch those at the bottom end of the ladder. So the two challenges the government is actually confronting and dealing with are these two. I'll just say a quick word about what we're doing, because talking about the problems without looking as if you have some solutions is also not appropriate. On the job side, we have been pushing an agenda of trying to do the best to transform agriculture, because we believe, particularly for our young people in the rural areas and even in towns, this is a good way to go. And when you have the potential, the land, and the people who could do this, why not? So trying to make agriculture more interesting for young people. We have now a venture capital fund of almost $100 million, FAFIN, supported by the German government as well, to invest in young agricultural entrepreneurs, whom the Minister of Agriculture calls Nagropreneurs. It's a horrible sounding name, but you know, it's a Nagropreneurs. So going beyond just trying to change their mindset that this is a business. If you tell them it's a business, then you must have some funds for them to be supported. So we started that. And we are trying to transform the housing sector. Housing does two things. It delivers a social need, solves a social need. People want roofs over their heads. Yet in our country, there are so few mortgages. About 50,000 in a country of 170 million people. If a young person in Nigeria starts working, they have no hope that they can own a house until they retire. You have to give them hope. If you're two young people married and working, you must be able to find a system where you can purchase a house and pay for it over your working life. That's what we are aiming for. In doing that, we also create thousands of jobs, but we've realized in Nigeria that we don't have those skills. When we need plumbers, carpenters, painters, we go to neighboring countries. So we started with the Ministry of Lands and Housing, in conjunction with some companies that do this well, and chaired by Dangote, Aliko Dangote, to look at how to train our own people in all these skills, so that the jobs that are created will be taken up. It's one thing to create jobs, it's another to find the people who don't have the skills to take them up. So that's housing. And we know that in the US, the UK, France, everywhere in the developed countries, what do they do with housing? They watch the housing numbers. Housing starts every month. Has anyone ever reflected why? Because this is a key driver of economic development in their country and of hope. Hope. We have to give our young people hope that they will have ownership and belong in these societies. And there are other areas, I won't go into them. The creative arts, we didn't create it in government. In fact, we've tried to make sure we don't interfere. Because sometimes when government steps in, it does the wrong thing. But how do we support the creative arts from behind without doing any damage? What areas do they need? Because they've created 200,000 direct jobs, 1 million indirect jobs, according to a World Bank survey, and $250 million in value. How do we make that work for our young people? So these are some of the areas where we see potential. The rebasing of our economy has exposed the fact that it's actually much more diversified than we thought. Services is now 51% of GDP instead of the 26% we had before. And agriculture is down from 33% to 22%, but it's still a significant chunk. And industry stays about 25-26%. Telecoms has gone from 0.7% of GDP to 7%. A sector that was practically non-existent, and that is telecoms, communications technology. You can now see is growing very rapidly at more than 22% a year, and that is where all of you young people come in, because all the platforms that you can use to change the world are there with the communications technology, all the apps, all the things you can do. And then Nollywood was not even featuring in GDP, and it's about 1.4%, 1.2% now. So these are some of the things we are seeing. So the strategies we have to try and drive diversification are in the right direction. And they are working. We just need to keep on. We don't need to listen to negativity. I want to encourage you that in Africa now, what I see is also an interesting phenomenon. I was at a TED Talk in London. And you know, they started the TED Talk by taking the newspaper headlines in about 10 African countries. I was shocked. I thought only in Nigeria did we have this negativity. They took headlines from 10 African countries and they put it out for us to see. On one given day, they just took the headlines from newspapers from all across our countries. There was not one positive headline. And the TED Talk person started by saying, we don't need people to be negative about us anymore. We're driving our own negativity. I was shocked when they did that. All across the continent, from north to south, there was not one encouraging headline. So if you wake up as a young person in an African country, I don't know about elsewhere, what you see are negative messages. And I will not have that. I am against our young people being discouraged, recognizing that things are not working. I'm not somebody who is a Pollyannish person who says, I'm very realistic. But that doesn't mean you have to instill negative images. We must not allow our young people to lose self-confidence and lose hope. And that's why you matter. This room is full of hope. It's full of energy. It's full of can-do. So I'm just telling you that please be conscious that something is happening on the continent that we are not even paying attention to. And don't let it affect you. Yes, let's accept we have all these challenges, that rising Africa is not rising for everyone. But it's a call, for me, it's a call to action. It's not a call to depression. It's not a call to self-doubt. It's a call to self-questioning. It's a call to asking, are the strategies we are following right? Can we do better? Should we listen to other messages? Is there a different way? That is self-questioning. And if you don't self-question, you will continue to make mistakes. But it's very different from self-doubt. Don't let anyone sow doubts in you that you cannot do it. Because you can, you will, and I implore you to do it. Thank you.
A big round of applause and a standing ovation for our dear Honorable Minister. Please, ma'am, would just like the Abuja have to take a group photograph with you on the stage. Please, ma'am, please. Thank you. Let's put our hands together. Members of Abuja Hall, please quickly get on it. Very, very, very quickly. Team Nigeria, Kano Hub, Kano.